Hey guys, welcome back to Infidelity Stories. Make sure like and subscribe to the channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into story video. My wife, 34 female, has a work husband. Hello, I'm a long-time lurker, and this is my secondary account because I don't want to publish anything on my primary. Also, English is not my first language, so please accept my apologies in advance. I'm 40 years old and my wife, 34 years old, have been married for a little more than 10 years. We have 2 sons, ages 7 and 5, who are both males. We don't have any major issues in our relationship, or so I thought. My wife is an administrator for our local council since the beginning of 2020, and I work as an analyst for a public corporation. We earn enough money to make ends meet. Since we started working from home, I've noticed that my wife has become more distant from me, constantly talking about work, and not necessarily in a positive manner. When she's on the phone with a coworker, though, there's a lot of giggling, chuckling, and so on. I've spoken to her about it, mostly about my suspicion that she devotes more time and effort to her coworkers than to our relationship. I understand that COVID and working from have had an effect on us. She's had a rant about how she despises the way I operate. To clarify, she works full-time for 8 hours a day, while I work 8 hours a day but take breaks, conduct my meetings while walking, speak with a coworker over Teams, and so on. I've been attempting to reignite our relationship by scheduling a weekend getaway just for the 2 of us. A weekend at a luxury hotel in an ancient castle not far away. The kids get a sleepover, as do the grandparents, and we get some alone time. Well, things are finally opening up around here, maybe a little too quickly in my opinion, and we hosted a little drinks party with some of her coworkers and so's. Long story short, some of the folks had a lot to drink. I don't drink right now since I'm training for a trek. And then one of her male coworkers moved up to my wife, stated that he was her work spouse, threw his arms around her, and kissed her on the cheek. My wife reacted by chuckling and kissed him on the cheek in the middle of the neck. I was more surprised than irritated at the time. When we came home, I told her I didn't appreciate her and her coworker's little trick. I inquired as to the duration of her affair. Her response was that there had been no affair, that I was overreacting, and that I shouldn't take things so seriously. She went to bed, asked if I was coming, and when I answered no, she shrugged and went to bed, leaving me to sleep on the sofa. The next day, I canceled the romantic weekend away and informed her parents of my decision. I also set an appointment with a buddy I haven't talked to in a long time, except this time he works for a legal firm that handles a lot of divorces, and I placed the name of the firm in my calendar. I'm also going to talk to my wife's immediate manager. There are some rules in place against fraternization. She's beginning to understand she's screwed up and is attempting to talk to me. I'm having none of it right now. I want to preserve our relationship, but it needs to be a two-way street. I'm prepared to put in the work to salvage our relationship, and I understand how difficult COVID has been for us. If she wants to be with someone else, I'm ready to call it quits. That would have wounded me a lot, I thought. Because both of my parents are dead, there isn't really anybody I can share this with. A few of queries. What can I expect/demand of my wife without seeming to be domineering? Was this a prank that went too far? Should I contact the coworker's spouse? Edit. Minor clarification update. Thank you for your responses, everyone. I may not agree with all of the comments, but thank you for leaving them. I'm not going to approach her employer. This is a disagreement between me and my wife. She'll have to find out what she's going to do for employment. I also informed her folks what transpired that night since they were curious as to why I had canceled our romantic weekend away. Perhaps silly in retrospect, but I've always heard that honest people have the fewest tales to recall and keep straight. I'm also not going to inform a coworker's husband. 1. I don't want to, and 2. There is no reason to. That has been taken care of by one of my wife's coworkers. The whole interaction was apparently recorded and delivered to his fiancé. I attempted to speak to her right after we got home, but she was dismissive, so I was sort of done with the entire situation and put some things in motion and gave her the talk to the hand routine, which was not very fair to her. We're going to discuss about what occurred tonight. My wife seemed to be sorry. I'll do my best to keep you updated. To be more specific, we are in Europe. Kisses on the cheek are okay, while kisses on the neck are not. Public claims of being someone's work spouse are likewise frowned upon. Update. Well, I'm back with a bit of an update. I apologize if this update seems more like a rant than a logical tale. In retrospect, I should have clarified several points in my initial piece, so let me begin by doing so. Concerning those who advised me that I should have expressed my displeasure to my wife. I tried many times, but it's difficult to communicate when the other individual isn't listening or denies that anything is going on. Concerning those who believed the other person was attempting to muscle in. You were somewhat correct. Butt-nestling isn't going to work for me. I'm an analyst, but I'm also an ex-military man. I'm 195 pounds and weigh approximately 100 kg. I work out in the gym for an hour every day and also run. Let's just say the other man is a proud member of MEAL Team 6. Concerning those who believed I should have canceled the romantic weekend so we could discuss. I'm not going to spend a romantic weekend with anybody after how she treated me. Concerning those who believe I should demand complete access to her email accounts, social media, and phones. All of them were previously available to me and vice versa. I'm not going to go through them in search of anything. I either trust or don't trust someone. For those who believe my wife has already had with the other man, it could be feasible, but I have my doubts. We were both working from home, and while the kids were in school, we were one of those couples that went grocery shopping together. I don't believe I'm overly controlling for those who think I am. I never said anything to my wife about what she could or could not do. My wife had several one-on-one meetings and meals with coworkers and friends to catch up on life. I genuinely pushed her to have a social life that isn't only focused on me. We had one incident early in our relationship when she stated she was going out with a female friend but was picked up by a man, and when confronted, she acknowledged it was a date, but this was a date planned before we were serious and the guy was in so no damage done. We spoke about it, and I told her I didn't like being lied to, and I believe the matter was fixed, but the memory resurfaced after the work husband episode. Following that, she had many one-on-one meetings with friends and coworkers to catch up. Concerning our conversation, we sat down to discuss once we had both calmed down. The reason she was so quiet/distant from me was because the other man had been harassing her on a regular basis. She showed me all of her interactions with the man, and he was evidently harassing my wife for. The other person is in an open relationship and attempted to persuade my wife that an open relationship would be beneficial to her as well, when she repeatedly declined him since she is happily married. He doubled down, swearing to her that I am a dominating jerk and that he would expose me to her. One of the things the communication revealed was that my wife was confiding in him about topics she wasn't confiding in me about, indicating that they had an emotional relationship on some level. When I brought it up, she just dismissed and glossed over it. My wife was quite concerned about a coworker harassing her for. She didn't want to tell me because she was scared I'd think she'd take him up on offer based on their previous chats, and she had no intention of having with him. So what occurred that night? Her words. Other guy apparently maintained his distance until my wife was sufficiently drunk, at which point he made his approach, hug, kiss, work wife proclamation, with the assumption that I would blow out. My wife claims that when she saw me standing there with a smile/smirk on my face exuding confidence, is that even possible? She laughed since his full plan fell through, and she thought it would be amusing if she could crank up the tension, which is when she kissed him back, cheek, and neck. When I didn't answer, and there was nothing going on between my wife and other guy, she assumed I was okay with it. When I pointed out that she kissed the man right in front of me, I'm very sure she was cheating. She went white and began to scream, claiming that she didn't realize she was cheating at the time, but that in retrospect, she was. So, we're happily married? I asked next, and her reaction was that she had been comparing our connection with the two as successful relationships she was aware of. That was with her parents, where her mother is not very pleasant with her father, like publicly shaming him, and her father is a bit of a doormat. In comparison, we have a happy marriage. To be honest, that's a really low bar. I mentioned the moments when it seemed she had an emotional connection with him, as well as the fact that she allowed the man kiss her in public, and how this made me feel extremely nervous about our relationship. To be clear, if I attempted to kiss or express love to her in public, intoxicated or not, she would have called me off or pushed me away in a very public manner, as she has done previously. She has also been quite sparing with her adoration while we are alone. I asked her whether she saw a future in our relationship, which prompted something, panic attack. I'm not an expert, and a lot of sobbing and apologizing on her part. After considerable conversation, it seems that we are both unwilling to give up on our relationship, so we have decided to attend couples therapy. She received some criticism at work, and some of her coworkers seem to be purposefully avoiding her. Another man approached her and felt it would be a good idea to talk her up, so she urged him to leave her alone loudly. She filed a harassment complaint against him via the proper procedures and with evidence to back it up. Since then, the other person has phoned in sick. In our nation, it is more difficult to terminate someone who is on sick leave. I've kept my distance from that aspect, her workplace, her difficulty. If she needs my assistance, she may contact me and I will assist her. That's when my wife received a call from the other guy's fiancé, 30-something F, who inquired as to why she was harassing another man at work. After all of my wife's harassing, the other man was so unhappy that he didn't feel capable of working. My wife was tired and just gave me the phone. I informed other guy's fiancé that we should meet in person. I requested that she meet me at a coffee shop without informing her fiancé. Before I got there, I double-checked to be sure that what I was going to explain and show her was lawful. There are no issues there. To cut a long tale short, the fiancé had no idea she was in an open relationship. She also said that my wife and her fiancé had an emotional connection and inquired as to how we were doing. I told her I was delighted she noticed, and that we were working on our relationship. How am I coming along? I'm fatigued and irritated. Her reasoning, as well as the fact that she skimmed over the emotional link, both irritate me. My fury boils because she allowed the man kiss him in public and kissed him back, but I don't get to do that. Even though I don't believe anything physical occurred other than the kissing, I can't look at her the same way. I'll make sure this is discussed in relationship therapy. We've attended 2 sessions in RC. The therapist is kind, but there's been a lot of blah blah and nothing substantive has been said. Probably because she's still getting to know us. What about the other man and his fiancé? I'm not sure, and I'm not sure I care. Please accept my apologies for the rage. I'd appreciate it if someone could give me some advice on how to cope with instances like these.